Hey Mina, we're KKD Silva, welcome back to the show, yada yada yada. This time, to explain the lack of my hat, we're doing the one-shot zone. Incoming. Not in the mood, dude. Go to the firing range. Yeah, you'll probably be wondering why the heck I'm out of the costume this time around. The answers being, 1, it's no longer November, so I don't see much point in having it on, even if I haven't finished Pokevember's reviews. 2, this is a one-shot and not the construction yard, and I typically only wear hats during those segments. And 3, this fan fiction is boring. I know I might be being harsh right off the bat, but let me be honest. There's no way I can be enthusiastic about this thing, let alone make it funny. Quick little reminder. I was inspired by Justin Wario Carmichael, God rest his soul, to make these videos with a positive outlook rather than a negative one. You don't have to make these things about bad stuff to make them funny and to get your point across. And with that, I decided to take that mindset to tackle my fanfiction reviews. Except for the fact that as much as I want to say otherwise, there are indeed fanfictions that are indeed as bad as people say. Yeah, we'll get to that in a later review. But does that apply to today's fanfic? Well, not exactly. It's not bad, but it's not good either. It just relies on one fact, that you've already seen the source from start to finish, or at least up to a particular point. So yeah, I'm not exactly excited for this one. To understand why, let's start reading Goodbye, My Friend, a fic written by one Chihuahua Bat, and prepare to be bored unless you know what I'm talking about here. Let's hope the title card helps me. Nope, it didn't help whatsoever. It only made me more depressed on the subject. On another note, you may remember I may have mentioned a list of spin-off Pokemon games a while back, among them being the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series. Very impressive series, even played a few installments myself. This is the spin-off series today's fanfic is focused on, particularly the second releases, which I dub the Explorers Gen, because of their titles, Explorers of Time, Explorers of Darkness, and Explorers of Sky. Ironic, considering the majority of the fanfics that are based off the Mystery Dungeon series are based off this installment. Admittedly, I haven't played the games to completion, seeing as it takes seemingly ever just to advance the story, but that's what the internet is for. Others playing the games for us, so we don't have to. But I'm kinda lazy, and it will take me equally as long to watch the series, so I'm not gonna try and make sense of it. But if I don't bring this next part up, someone else will. The plot of the Mystery Dungeon series focuses on the player getting warped into a world of Pokemon in which Pokemon actually talk and are the main life forms, which has the player, a former human, inexplicably turn into a Pokemon themselves, in the game determined by via personality test and gender. Wow, very original, guys. You basically took personifying things, or ponifying in the case of MLP, and turned it into Pokefying. Anyway, the player is discovered by another Pokemon, in the game chosen by the player themselves, as they team up for various adventures based on the installment. The Explorers Gen focuses on them working as an exploration team, exploring new mystery dungeons that change each time they leave and re-enter, in order to retrieve various items and save the lives of other Pokemon. So it's not so much an exploration team, as they are varying from the new incarnations of the teams in the Rescue Gen of Blue and Red Rescue Teams, to basically being the Lost and Found Brigade. Anyway, while the player tries to learn why they ended up in the Pokemon world, they they learn of another bigger plot going on around them that they somehow end up being in the focus of, i.e. the Chosen One scenario that has been done to death in the Pokemon movies with Ash. As if I'm not avoiding the actual fanfic enough already, here's the general plot of the Explorers Gen, or what I can tell based on the opening cutscenes of the game, what I have played of it, and the fanfic in general. Mystic objects called time gears go missing. A Grovyle, Trico's middle stage evolution, is framed for the crime as horrible things begin to happen. Duskmore turns out to be the real villain, and the player and his or her partner have to go stop him. If it seems like I skipped a lot, it's because I did. Did I mention I didn't get far in the Explorers Gen? Because I didn't. Oh, but get this. The author writing this, Chihuahua Bat, published this 1,437 word fic on September 21st, 2009. You know how many faves and reviews it's got since then? 7 and 8 respectively. It's quite a shame that's the case. But then again, most people wouldn't have noticed it if they even cared. It might as well have been a dime a dozen fanfic amidst an entire sea of them. Seriously, how many Mystery Dungeon Explorers fics out there? I wouldn't have known this existed if not for Pikatwig suggesting this to me far in advance of me reviewing it. Yeah, thanks Pika for bringing me the first fanfic I'm too bored to review. Oh, and it's K+, in case you're wondering. Okay, I've rambled on long enough. The fanfic itself is based on a pretty emotional scene from the game involving Grovyle, Duskmore, and our main character, who isn't even named until the end of this thing. Oh yeah, and it turns out she's a Torchic. Not that it's ever mentioned in the story. Oh wait, it was in the given summary before people read the story. I'm questioning whether or not it was a smart thing to put it in there in advance, or if it's a stupid thing to not remind the readers of the story. Seriously, not one place in the text could I find a single mentioning that the main character's a Torchic. All I knew of her was that it was indeed a girl and that her name was Ember. You know, the name would have been okay if we could have had a face to attach it to in the actual text. And you can see why I don't like this. Well, one of the reasons, but that's me being harsh again because it bored me to death. So now it's time for hits and misses, and here's hoping I can try and make this interesting in any way. If there's anything I can credit this with, it would have to be the dialogue and how genuine the characters are. They actually feel like real characters, and from what I know, they match their counterparts in the Explorers games well. Grovyle is the hero willing to sacrifice himself to save others. Duskmore is the villain desperate to execute his plans, and Ember is the one who loses someone she cares for despite not wanting it to happen, and she's distraught. In order for people to picture what you're trying to convey, if you're conveying it via a book or a text-exclusive media like fanfics, descriptions are just as important as dialogue. If you get the right amount of detail, your audience can get the right image of the scene you're portraying. And with the right dialogue, it can make the scene perfect. And for a hurt comfort fanfiction like this, that's something vital. Too bad there's a lack of context ruining this one shot. This fic solely relies on the reader having played it, seen the Explorers games up to this point. I could probably understand if this was specifically written for the people who made it up to this point, but there's a chance someone like me haven't gotten there, so they may end up lost. Not to mention, spoilers! This isn't accurate to the story in question. I'm not joking. It's implied here that with the stupid time travel setup, Grovyle, Duskmore, and every future Pokemon will be permanently erased from history. How's that bad? they all survived in the actual game. So this whole scene, completely pointless. The only thing I can mention here is Ember herself. When I saw it first, I didn't even know she was a Torchic. I only knew her name and gender through the text. This can be bad or good. If the summary points this out, it can give the reader an idea of what to expect. But it's a bad thing if no one bothers to look at the given summary of the story and just jumps right in, not knowing who or what the main character is. Seriously, my first time through, I ended up reading it and not finding a single clue that it was a Torchic. All I could make out was her gender and her name. Sure, the gender helps narrow it down, but the name is just too vague. For all I know, it could have been a female Charmander, a female Cyndaquil, or a female Chimchar. If you don't write the name of the Pokemon in the story, how the heck are we supposed to know it's a female Torchic? Furthermore, how do you know that's the Pokemon in question if you don't see the summary? Someone could have pulled a joke or something and made it a completely different Pokemon and oh, screw it. You know, I'm almost done here, and I just want to end this madness. So, the final analysis, huh? I've been debating on this myself, but I want to end this on a positive note still. So, I'll be generous and give this a C-. I can see it being a touching her comfort story to some, but for me, it's not worth bringing up again. In the end, the story is subpar to me at best. The dialogue's genuine, the characters feel real, but it's dragged down by a lack of context to the scene of the story, presuming the reader already got to the point it's referring to from the source, and the fact that it's boring. There's nothing worse than being bored by something like this. Honestly, I wanted to make this go out with a bang and hope that this would be a fit to do so for Pokevember, with me opening up with a joke of me having the greatest time ever on Alpha Sapphire, only after reading this to start crying over the touching scene. But it's ruined! So you know what? Next time, and for the proper December review, we're going to be looking at something more festive. Hopefully it'll truly lift my spirits and prepare me for the holiday mood, unlike how this one tied me down with its boredom. Until then, I'm King 80 Silver, hoping the fan fiction will keep fandoms alive. Now if you'll excuse me, I gotta finally shower and get the disgusting boredom off of me. Johnny, jeez, here we go.
I wanna be the very best that no one ever was. To catch them is my real test.